Okay, so I've started recording, and this is Sally. I'm Sally Hendrick. This is the Who's Riding Shotgun show. And what I'm going to do first, before we do anything else, is just kind of get everybody familiar with the platform so that we're all comfortable and can move forward without too many questions. We've just hit record to start recording, and for me, it shows record and off the record, and then when I click record, then everybody else sees that it says on the record, so then you know you're being recorded. And what that means is all those people over on the right who subscribed to the show will actually get emailed a copy of it and automatically by Blab, which is fantastic because it makes our follow-up method much easier, because a lot of people will subscribe to the show, but they don't necessarily show up live. So it's like an automated replay situation for something if you want it to go out. The other thing is over on the left, there's a Tell a Little Bird. And if everybody will click that, it will pop up a window that puts our Twitter handles in there. And we'll do the title of the show, and you tweet it out to all of your followers on Twitter, and then they will see that in their feeds if they're watching, and they may just come over and look at it. Hey, there's Lisa over on the right. Now, next thing I'm going to do is over on the right, when you look at the chat box, take notice of who joins the room. You can also see people across the top, okay? And Lisa Jenkins joined. She is in my Facebook group, and she is actually a Baptist minister. Please correct me if I'm wrong, Lisa. A Baptist minister in Harlem, and she went on vacation when I was in New York, so I didn't actually get to meet her. So, and then Jamie Iria, I'm not really sure. It looked like he joined, but I don't know if he stayed. He may have actually walked out and left. But anyway, so take notice of who comes in the room. Say hello to those people because they want to be part of, the conversation as well. Of course, our show is going to be very specific with a topic today. And sometimes I will bring people in from the audience if they have, something to say, some value to add to the subject. So it kind of just goes like that. So do you guys have any questions before we get started? No?
No, I'm good.
Good. Yeah.
All right. Well, so today we have Mary, and would you please pronounce your last name because I don't want to mess that up.
Sure, it's Kale Stowe.
Kale Stowe, okay. And Mary has a business called Charmed Chicken, which I find very interesting, and I really want to hear about that in just a minute. And what is your website, Mary?
My website is www.charmchicken.com. Okay. And I just want to take a moment and apologize if there's any background noise. Okay. I have been in the middle of a massive kitten rescue project this summer, and I have got some fosters here in my office that are burning off some energy.
Okay. So. Well, no crying babies, but maybe some howling cats. All right. And then we have Michelle McConnell. And Michelle, what do you do? What's your website?
So my website is under www.michellemcconnell.com.
Okay.
And it's actually related to a business called Holistic Inspired Business Coaching.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, I noticed that Mary actually put her link over in her bio. So, Michelle, if you want to type your link over in the chat box. The nice thing about these Blab shows that we do is the chat stays with the replay. So any of the chat that's up there will stay. So if somebody comes back and watches the replay, they'll be able to find your links. And the other thing that stays is you still have the ability to go back and type more comments afterwards.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so if somebody asks a question, you could go back to the show and look to see. Hi, Scream Wax. Thanks for joining the audience. We're going to talk about Google today. So, and I wanted to know more too about your businesses as well. But what I wanted to mention was that, Google Drive is free. Google has a lot of different functions within it, and I use it sometimes, but there's a lot of things that I probably don't utilize that are there that are free that I could use to enhance my business. but you guys, I know, use it some. So I would love to know, when you talk about your business and what you do, let's get the subject about Google in there as well. Wait a second. Scream Wax says, "Oh no, I was here to test out my green goatee. I think people are going to think I'm a crazy person." Okay, well, that's okay. As long as, you're nice and don't say things, then we'll be fine. So you came to convince people that you're normal. Okay, well, thank you, Scream Wax. And hi, John. Thanks for joining. All right, so Mary, tell us what is your business about? I've got your bio over there. Everybody go look and see. It says Mary lives in Ozarks, where she helps entrepreneurs get unscrambled in life and in business with their technology. Okay. And she brings 10 years in technical support and longer than that as a geek, and check out her work there. Okay. So what do you do exactly to help people then?
What I do is actually twofold. I started off helping people, specifically too busy women dealing with chronic illness, get unscrambled. I've really carried the chicken theme here in the Ozarks throughout my entire branding, but I help them sort out to create the life they want, the business they want. Well, what I was finding was that as I was helping people, part of what was keeping them scrambled was technology in their business. They want to be entrepreneurs. They want to have websites, do their webinars, sell their classes, and they just didn't know how. And so I have been in tech support with some pretty big companies for well over a decade. I currently do tech support for a small company here in Missouri. And so what I do kind of on the second half of that is I work as a virtual assistant and to help people with their websites, with their technology, as well as kind of get that all sorted out.
Well, that's cool. So how are you reaching out to people, and what are you using Google Drive to do in your business? Right now, I'm primarily reaching out
to people on an individual basis. I use Google Drive for a lot. I use it for my own work because I do have a full-time job. I use it so I can work on files while I'm at work or at home. I love the Drive feature because you can access that anywhere. I use Gmail by having all of my business mail come into my Gmail account, and that way it's all in one place. I don't have to check mail in 5 different places. I use the Drive to share files with my clients. When I do recordings with them and call recordings, I'll upload the recording to Drive and just share it with them that way. I use it for intake forms, for spreadsheets, for surveys. I use it all the time.
Yeah. Anything else besides form? Because I do want to get into forms and how it comes into a spreadsheet. I use that for the talk show, for this show, because it makes it a lot easier for me to reorganize things within those sheets. But do you use any of the other pieces that are in Google Drive? Because I want to open it up and look at it, so it's kind of like a cheat sheet. I could go look to see what all the services are. It looks like,
sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's docs, sheets, slides. Have you ever used the slides?
Mm-mm.
And then forms, drawings, maps, and then you can connect more apps to it. Michelle, do you use any of the other apps? Or
I do. My business lives between Google Drive and Evernote. So everything that is like my business hub. So anything I ever need are in those 2 places. So with Google Drive, my webinars, I do all of my slides through using the Google Slides.
okay,
You download them. So I use Webinars on Air. So the type of slides that they prefer for sharing is PowerPoint, but I just download them. But you can convert them so quickly and very easily.
okay. Well, that's pretty nice. I haven't actually messed with the slides yet, and I do my webinars using Google Hangouts and YouTube. So do you use that, or is there another thing?
Webinars. I am using that. So I use Webinars on Air, which uses the Hangout on Air software technology. So
Okay.
it does go to YouTube, and of course it goes on your Google Plus account.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have to go get something else separately when you get webinars on air?
No.
It's within all of that.
It's a full package. So it just allows you to do more integration. So when I use that kind of software, it lets me integrate my like Aweber, right? So I'm getting everything directly into my email service provider.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. That's nice. Well, Michelle, what is it that you're doing in your business?
So I really work with wellness entrepreneurs that kind of know what steps to take, but they're not really sure how to take those steps. So I always like to say in plain English, really what I do is I help people create, automate, and implement business systems into their business. Because most of us online, when we first start out, we watch tons of free webinars. We grab lots of freebie stuff, and we know we have to have a freebie. We don't necessarily know how to create the freebie, or we don't necessarily know how to automate it and get it onto Aweber or MailChimp. And so we spend hours and hours doing that stuff. So
Right.
what I do is I kind of just step in. I like to think of myself more of a teacher than a coach, because I really love the teaching aspect. And that's what I do, is I help them figure out, do they need to put a system in for lead generation? Do they need
Right.
to put a system in for, client intake? All those type of things. So that's what I help entrepreneurs do.
Okay. You sound very similar to me. I want to know how, and both of you do. It sounds like both of you are following a similar path, and that you're teaching the technical side of things to people. Now, how are you delivering the teaching? Are you doing personal private coaching, or are you doing a course with private coaching, or do you include strategy in that? What do you do with that?
Well, for me, I do kind of different things. So originally I started out using Zippy Course, which I love, and just kind of delivering my videos, but still doing one-on-one coaching. I've kind of started moving a little bit more into smaller bite-sized offers, just to kind of really test out what it is people want. I want to create a bigger program, but I want to make sure that it's exactly what people want. So I've kind of,
they want to take.
yeah. And so I've downsized it a little bit more, and I am doing a little bit more one-on-one, but of course I'm moving more into that group setting, where it will be a combination of some videos, but a lot of one-on-one still, where it's like master classes and kind of coming together to collaborate.
Right. Well, good. Do you ever do any ventures with other people? Maybe your client you see has a certain need, and maybe you don't use a program that they've already invested in. Do you go and learn that really quickly and come back to them, or do you go find somebody to help out with some sort of, introductory type of thing, and then you work through it together?
I've done both ways, and to be honest, I learned a really big lesson early in my practice. You need to be really good at what you do to provide really strong value. So for me, I do what I do really well. What I don't do, I hand it over to somebody else who does it really well. Yeah. So for me, I tend to like to integrate and bring people in, because I want the client to get the best value, and not my overview, quick hurry, this is how I think it works kind of value. Right.
Yeah. In which I totally get that, because I use MailChimp. What do you use, Mary?
I use MailChimp, and that's what I recommend as well.
Okay, but you use Aweber.
I do,
Michelle, right?
But
okay.
I recommend both. Aweber, or because it really depends where they're at.
Right. A lot of people that I have been starting with need the MailChimp type of thing, where they need a little bit longer to use the free version before they dig in. They're not making a lot of money yet, or they're not making any money yet, and they're just really getting started. But then I've met so many people more on the high end of coaching. They already have programs. They're ready to invest in the online side of things. And so I felt like I needed to develop something for them. And so I've gone through and created an entire course that goes from step 1 to the analytics. So it's pretty comprehensive. And then if they wanted to get even deeper into it, that would come through more personal coaching, because once you get into the really high-end stuff with some of these programs, it's hard to create a course that would work for everyone. Yeah. And it's so much easier if you get to that point with somebody. Then you're doing private coaching and you're really getting into their systems and you're looking at everything and saying, well, that might work for you here, but I don't really recommend this. So let's go into this feature instead and see what's going to work, because people deliver their material in so many different ways. And it's really hard to just throw some course out there that would work for them. And once you're at that level, you're already spending money on coaches to really help you get through to the next level. So do both of you work in other jobs as well? And I want to say, hey, before I go on, actually, Mr. Funky Fairy, hello, and Fisher Studios, and Maury, thank you for joining. And Springwax, I know you've written some things, and I'm sorry if it didn't work for you. I don't know if you came back. Anyway, do you guys, do you work outside the home as well in, a day job, and then do this on the side, or are you doing this full time, or how does that work for you? What about you, Mary?
I do. I have a full-time job as a tech support agent for a small company that supports nonprofits. And so I do technical stuff during the day, and then I come home and do technical stuff most of the evening.
Now, do you also balance a family, or what else do you have going on?
Well, we live down here in the Ozarks, and I do have a husband. I take care of my disabled mom. I like to say, though, that part of the reason why I can do what I do is I don't have people kids. All of my kids have fur or feathers. We've got a homestead with some horses. I've got chickens.
Wow.
Yeah, we've been inundated with cats this spring, so I've been doing lots of rescuing and fostering and adopting out and various things like that.
I want to look at your website real quick, because I'd love to see your branding. Oh, okay, that's what the rooster chicken is right there. I saw that. Now, do you have roosters that wake you up in the morning?
They don't get me up. The whole thing started, and the whole story behind the business is when we first moved down here, I'd always wanted chickens. I had fond memories of my great-grandparents' farm in Iowa. And so I had a huge flock of chickens, and sadly, they're very vulnerable to predators, and we lost all but one. And I thought it was a hen. I went to extraordinary lengths to keep it alive.
Right.
And about a year later, it stood up and crowed at me, and I went, "Oh, if I'd known you were a rooster, we would have went about this differently." So anyway, he became my charmed chicken. Everybody laughed that I went to such great lengths to keep this rooster.
Now, wait, is this,
sadly, oh, I'm sorry.
Is that Mr. Red?
He passed. Mr. Red, yeah, he passed. But we sought revenge in his name, and it's all okay. But but yeah, so I have roosters, and I have a flock of hens, and my chickens are my pride and joy.
That's cool. And now, do you also have eggs and all of that coming from? Okay, I like that. Now, what about you, Michelle? Are you working outside the home in addition to this business?
I'm not. So almost coming up to a year. Last October,
Nice.
I was able to give my notice after about 15 plus years. I'm not going to say exactly how many years working in corporate. Yeah, so this has been like 100%, and yeah, I'm loving it. Yeah.
Good. Now, do you feel like you can work less now that you're more established?
No. I'd like to say yes, but no.
No.
No, now I just find all the things that, just building a little bit more consistency, right? So blogging a little bit more, doing the things that I was doing, but now on a more consistent basis, which, sometimes is tough.
Yeah, I get that. I'm at a point now where I've always worked part-time for the last 12 or 15 years, but I've worked in the same job for the last 23 years. And I increased my time a couple of years ago when one of the top executives left. And so I moved into that role, and we hired 4 new young analysts to come in to take over a lot of the work. So we were able to push a lot of our projects to those, I almost want to call them kids, because in this industry, it takes years and years and years. I'm an actuary, so I've been dealing with statistics and analytics for a really long time. And what's happened is I feel like instead of being creative with my clients, I'm now audit reviewing all of these projects with all these tiny little detailed steps, and it's just not as fun anymore. And I'm a very creative person. I love art. I love, learning new things. I play the piano. I like to sing, all this other stuff. And it was starting to get where everything in my life was like on this side of the brain, and it was exhausting me. And so I decided to make myself even more tired and create a business online. But for the last year or so, I've been really working, maybe the last 6 months, I've really gotten it to a point where I'm finding what I want to be doing. Mm-hmm. I dabbled in it for a year and a half before that, not knowing what I was going to do. Yeah. And then I've really been focused the last 6 months. And I feel like now I'm at a point where, right now I'm going to be doing private coaching while I'm creating courses. I'll use the courses with my clients and then coach them along to customize it to them. Yeah. But then also for those who don't want to do private coaching, or they're just not at that level yet, and they're still out there trying to find the deals to learn how to do things, and they want to do it on their own. As I'm creating my curriculum, I'm putting it out there for sale as well, and I'm using Zippy courses as well. But in the meantime, there's so many channels of trying to meet people, because you do have to keep building your list. You have to keep meeting people, building relationships, because at the end of the day, you can create something awesome, but if there's no one to share it with, what do you do?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a waste. So how is it that you guys are creating your following and finding people to work with? What are you doing with that? Either one of you.
For me, I started doing focusing more on like list building. So I do a lot of blogging, and I do a lot of guest blogging as well as webinars. So I've just started with the webinars, and I love the webinars. I was like, why didn't I do this sooner? Like I love the webinars, and that's the true teacher, like in me coming out, because it was like, oh my God, I have a platform I can talk. I love it. Yeah.
Yes. I wish that you could do screen sharing on Blab. I don't think that's a feature yet.
That would be good.
It would be nice, What about you, Mary? How are you reaching out to people?
I too am doing some guest blogging. I have a background as an author, and so I like to write guest blog. I like to, share articles, and then I am in between podcasts right now, but I am in love with the podcasting medium. It's something that I can do. I can sit in my office, schedule it around my day job, and put up podcasts. And so I hope to be starting some podcasts here within the next month or so again, as I further refine what I do. And then just, putting out good content, blogging, connecting with people on social media, all that stuff that we're supposed to be doing anyway.
Right. Are you doing webinars too? Did you say that?
Not recently. I've done some telesummits, and I've done some webinars in the past. It's on the plate. I'm just kind of pondering what my next step is for that.
Right. Now, Michelle, when you get at the end of your webinars, do you always have an offer, or sometimes is it just for list building?
It depends. Like for me, if right now, like for example, I'm doing a series. So I have three webinars based in a row. Because I just had so much content I wanted to share. So the first 2 will be a no pitch, because to me, I think that you have to give a lot of value out there before you can start doing the ask, right? So I'm totally all about giving value up front and then talking about the ask, right? So a lot of times I'll do it that way.
Now, do you feel like, but what about your audience? If you've got 3 webinars that are bundled together over however much time,
Yeah.
Are you looking at what's going on, like who's in there? Are they repeats? Are they actually coming back for the last couple of ones, or are you getting somebody?
Yeah, so I do take a look at kind of who's coming in, checking against,
New on the front
even
end?
on the screen, like on the list.
Everybody's a little. Everybody was jumpy for a second.
No, it kind of froze there for a second.
Oh.
Yeah, is that better?
Oh, you're on audio only. Both of you popped up with poor internet signal. Did I?
Oh, and I'm plugged like hardwired.
Huh. Strange. Oh, well, but I can hear you.
Okay.
Your logos are talking. All right, what did I ask?
So basically, yes, I do check to see who's coming in, who's not. And the way that I create my series, whenever I create a series, is that they can be standalone and people can go back and see the replay for the previous one until the very end of the series. So I still also promote those individually, also as a whole.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. And then are you following up then after that? Is your ask in an email, or do you ask at the end of the last webinar?
So I actually do it both ways. So like I said, my first 2 for this series is a no pitch, but I do offer free mini sessions, which are 15 minutes, hop on the phone with me kind of thing.
Right.
And then I do a follow-up as well through emails. So I do have a series of emails that are all automated.
Yeah.
And that's totally what I also work with my clients with, is teaching them how to automate all their stuff so that they're not like, oh my God, how do I get this all done? Because it's a lot.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so then back to like Google, you're more using it for storage?
I do both. So like I said, my business lives in Google. So when I work with a client, when I work with my one-on-one clients, I'm kind of going to give the inside look of my business. I've never really done that. But what I usually do is, like, if I work with a client one-on-one, we do a lot of brainstorming. So I create a document and a folder that's just for them. That's just shared between me and them. And I put in all we'll put all of our work in there together. The reason I love doing that is you can see it live. So we're updating, we're talking, and we're also putting it out there live, and we can do edits as we go. Right. Yeah. And they can also go back and refer to it over and over again. They can add any work that they're supposed to be doing. So I can go and check it out. I don't have to rely on an email coming to me. And I actually have it set up so that they will notify me as soon as they start updating. They'll send me a quick email to let me know that they've updated some information. I can go in and I can check it. So I have a day once a week that I do that with them. Mm-hmm. And then what we'll do is any extras, the links and stuff, everything's all in there in one document.
Okay. Now, do you realize on some of these things, okay, so like I like to do the forms because when the spreadsheets get filled automatically, like for this show, for example, people will apply to be on this show and they'll fill out all the questions about what platforms they use, what software they use, and all of those things that I ask. And then I try to find people who have similar, they use similar programs, and no matter what type of business they do, if they use a similar program, then we can talk about it, right? Because, we all happen to have similar businesses, though, here in this room right now. But a lot of times it'll be like somebody else will be completely running something completely different, but they'll still use this platform. And so I find that it's very helpful for people out there to see that it can cross all sorts of businesses and be used that way. But then the spreadsheets come in and you can add new sheets, new tabs to the sheets. And so I will then move people over and group them together and then try to schedule a mutual time like we did with you guys. The other thing that I wanted to mention, I don't want to forget, because Laura Reich was going to be on here, but Laura is sick and she was not able to come in. And she's my VA. and Laura uses Calendly. Do you know anything about that?
That's
Okay.
what I use. Mm-hmm.
What do you use for scheduling, Michelle?
I use Acuity.
Acuity. Okay. I wanted to mention Calendly because it will use Google Calendar to go look at your schedule that you have existing already. And I think you can select a couple of different profiles. Like I have a profile for my family and I have a profile for me personally. And I like for it to look at both of those calendars so that when people schedule an appointment with me, they those times will be blocked out if I have anything on those. So the nice thing about it is that it's free to start. Do you use the paid version, Mary, or do you use the free?
I just use the free version.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you realize that you just choose one type of event, one type of time frame, and then if you stick with that and turn the others off, you can always use that for free. Because after 30 days, if you try to use all their features, they're going to then ask you to pay.
Right. So I just have one event that basically is my multi-purpose event. And then I use, and then I have that scheduled, and then I'll reach out to them and say, this is a consultation, this is an interview for a podcast, whatever I do. But yeah, I just use the one event.
Right. Yeah, that's what I do. And I make it I think I make it 45 minutes, but I only show 30 minutes on the calendar for the person scheduling it. But it gives me an extra 15 minutes between if I need or if a call goes over. So do you use you said you use Acuity.
Yeah.
Now, is that free or is it?
They do have a free level and then they have a paid level. So I actually use the paid level, but I use the basic, the very first paid level. So which is fairly reasonably priced.
Right. Okay. Oh, I want to say hey to, I can't remember who I said hello to, Scott and Tom and Jacob. Hello. How are you? You're just listening for now. Okay. I had asked Sean if he wanted to come on. Sean has popped on a blab of mine before, and we met about a year ago. It's not even been a year. It seems like it's been a long time. This year's been really long for me, learning a lot of new things. So is there anything you've got going on right now? Are you in the launching anything, or what's going on with your business right now? Either one of you have anything launching?
I'm actually getting deeper into my technical and virtual assistant work. I am putting together some CRM options for people so they can have customer relationship managers, because I love mine, as well as some really inexpensive entry-level website packages to get you up and running. And then, you can get the designer, you can get everything later. And I'm doing all of that under a new brand that's going to be launching called Unscramblet, UNSCRAMBLET. So Unscramblet, get it unscrambled.
That's one of the Charmed Chicken's product lines, right?
Exactly.
Unscramble it. That's so cute. I love the whole branding concept of pulling things together and making it all kind of hit back to the same theme. Hey, James, I wanted to say hello to you. I'm getting lost here with who's coming in. But I don't want to leave anybody out. So if anybody in the audience has anything they want to mention about how they use Google or Google Plus, I mean, we haven't talked about Google Plus, but that's another thing. Michelle, first, before we move to that, are you in a launch right now, or are you trying to create something new?
I'm not in a launch. So right now I'm kind of just gearing up. I've been doing a lot of, like I said, working a little bit more bite-sized offer. I'm in the works of creating a bigger program, like a 3-month mastermind program for wellness entrepreneurs. But until I really nail what it is people want, I'm just not quite there yet, but we're working on it.
Right. No, I get it. Believe me. Now, do any of you use Google Plus to reach out to people? Or do you just let that kind of be a passive way of things getting announced? I see a cat.
I do too.
Yeah. I let it be very passive. I mean, I hear about every other month, Google Plus is dead. No, it's not dead. It's dead. No, it's not dead. And so I just, I feed my blogs out there through my website and, you know, any videos in that I do, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
You too?
Yeah, I don't really use it very much. But again, I kind of go back to that thing. I'm a little bit more of, I go to where my ideal clients are, and mine actually hang out like Facebook and Twitter. So those are the platforms that I've chosen to really focus on.
I agree. Facebook and Twitter are where my people are as well. And, but I do want to get some into Pinterest because I want to start creating infographics that go with various platforms. It'll be like the top 10 tips or whatever of how do you do Facebook groups, top 10 tips on how to do a blab, top 10 tips on, you know, whatever else. So I do want to at least get a board going. I do work with, I have Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, LinkedIn, all of the things are all hooked up. I haven't gotten into LinkedIn as much, but I do need to start doing that because I'm getting ready to start going around locally to especially like financial planners and other people who work for a business for commission because they have to put their presence out there to get clients. They're in sales just like anyone else. And if they want to differentiate themselves from other financial planners or whatever, and there's other markets too. I would like to be able to go and speak at some events locally because I think that it would help me find more professionals face-to-face that would be ready for a high-end private coaching package. Yeah, hopefully. I'm starting to think about that. So, hey, Akila, thanks for joining us. Akila Tompkins Robinson is somebody that I met in New York this week, but we've been, you know, online friends for several months because we're in one of the same groups online. And she's got a really great Zippy course membership site, and I've been picking her brain on how that works. And because I'm starting to create mine as well, in addition to my courses, I'm starting to create a membership site that would be a monthly fee type of access. So anyway, Akila's right in the middle of a launch. So she's online boutique source, and I think it's very interesting what she's doing, helping people who have boutiques or have jewelry or have clothing or whatever it is they're selling to get them online and create their stores and their presence online. So it's a very unique market that she has. So do either of you want anything else to say today? Because I feel like we've covered a lot of different things within the Google platform, and we can wrap things up.
Yeah, I'm good.
Good?
I'm good too.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, guys.
All right. And
Thank
tweet
you.
it out one more time. Do the Tell a Little Bird again, because people can come back and watch the replay. So go ahead and do that, and then hopefully we'll have more people to come and see that. And I think somebody's up there with this fancy, their little icon is flipping around or something. I don't know how to do that. You ever seen that where their little profile button has like some little GIF in it?
Yeah.
Okay, there's so much to be able to do out there. It's crazy. All right. Well, thanks, ladies, for coming on, and I'll be in touch with you after this. I've got something to send to you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Now, next week, I wanted to mention that probably on the 2nd. I usually do this on Fridays, kind of in the middle of the day, but we had to reschedule because I was in New York. But I think next week I'm going to be doing a wrap up on what happened at Periscope Summit in New York City this past week, which is where I've been very busy. and learned a lot, met a lot of people. It was a great networking opportunity to finally meet people in person. And so I want to do a wrap up on that. I'm also going to be doing a webinar this week on Thursday the 1st. If anybody wants to get on that and really get to find out what happened at Periscope Summit, I'm going to type that into Periscope highlights. I'm typing the link over here. This is a webinar on what happened at Periscope Summit in New York City. So sign up. That'll be at noon on Thursday the 1st. And once you sign up, I don't have a reply going yet. I literally got home last night from New York. I'll get the reply up and you will get a link to the webinar and all of that. So if anybody wants to do that, that would be great.
Sally, are you going to scope it as well as you do the webinar?
As I do the webinar, you know what? Probably not, because I have a hard enough time keeping up with the chat box and my notes on another screen, and then the computer here with the Google Hangouts, and then I like to check and make sure that it's actually streaming. And so setting up my phone and making sure that it's actually showing, I don't know. It drives me crazy. I can't talk to that many audiences at the same time. But wouldn't that be, that would be nice, right?
Throw it out there.
But I have been scoping about it. I've been scoping about it all week. So hopefully people are, at least tuning in to get some of the highlights. But I wanted to do more of a webinar so that people could actually ask questions, because I'm going to put together some slides for it, because they are coming out with statistics and all these things that we'll be able to access. And catch.me, the one that catches your replays and saves them for you so you don't have to worry about that 24-hour window, they've got a lot of great announcements too, where you'll be able to scrub through the videos instead of having to watch the whole entire thing to get to a certain minute. And more than that, they talked a lot about all the things they're doing. So I am going to be pulling all that together to share with everyone, and I look forward to talking about that. And I'm going to talk about how you build your list using Periscope. So the best way to go about that. There's kind of a formula of how to do it so that you can actually increase your followers and get people into your programs. So there's Akila saying hello again. So anyway, unless you guys have anything else, I'm going to go, and hope you guys have a great Saturday.
Thanks, you too.
Yeah. Oh, and I have a gift for you. So I'll be emailing you and getting your address to mail you something, okay? Okay. Have a great week.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Just click the X in the top right of your screen, and that will exit you out, okay? All right, see ya.